So welcome everybody to our Net Zero Skills Labs event. We've got people online with us today, so thank you very much for joining us. As Debbie said earlier, you're missing out because we get all the sandwiches, and so you should have come along. Also, it's a pleasure for us to have Councillor Julie Jones-Evans here today, so thank you for coming along to listen to what's going on. My name is Beverly Poole, and I'm the Director of Skills Labs for Hampshire and the Isle of Wight. And today what we're going to do is to hear from Debbie Lavin, CBE, who's our principal here. We're also going to hear from Astrid Davis, who is our net zero consultant on this project, and then I'll come back and just say a few words at the end about the business, or the shape of Skills Labs as a business. So we're not expecting a fire drill, but there's fire doors at both sides of the front of the room here. And if you need the loo, it's actually outside here or up on one floor. So that's both of the places for the facilities. So thank you very much for having us, everybody. To all the ladies who were working so hard in here yesterday to make the room so special. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here. So thank you, Janet, for you and your team. I'm going to hand over to Debbie Lavin, who's going to pick up about Skills Labs as a project. Thank you.
So thank you to Beverly, and most importantly, thank you to the businesses for taking your time out to be here today and online. It's really, really important to us. And I'd just like to reflect on the last 2 years as a starting point. During coronavirus, everybody had to go online. We had to move fast. We were given 1 week as a business to move towards that. And it was really impressive that you businesses did that, and the majority survived. And it just goes to show that the skills you have in your industry already are fleet of foot, and that's really, really important to us. So moving forward, we also have to focus on anything that's thrown at us. And as you'll know, at the moment with the Ukraine and Russia, which is a dreadful thing going on, but that may well impact your business again. And if it does, we need to be fleet of foot. So it may be that the cost to your business, rising gas prices, has an impact. It might be the supply chain, but we will be hard pressed as a nation not to be impacted by that. So again, the Skills Labs are here to help you with that. And then the next thing that's a common goal is net zero, which is what we're here to talk about today. And I'll introduce Astrid shortly, who's our expert in that field. And what's really important about that, we've got people like Greta Thunberg, who is leading from the front, but also I feel all my young people in the college and all the adults I network with were pushing at an open door, because they're already there, they're already ahead of us, they're already interested, and they want to redevelop and learn. And then we've got the Freeport. And if you're not familiar with the Freeport as a business, please, please, please go and look at it. I got off the most amazing call last night explaining the benefits to that, the tax relief companies will get, how that all works. And it does include the island to some degree. So if you're a business online, you're not familiar with that, either talk to the LEP or the council will be able to help you further, or we can. But that's quite exciting. And we've got a group of 7 colleges who are responding to the Skills for Jobs, Lifelong Learning for Opportunity and Growth white paper. And what does that mean for us? It means a reform of further education. So the government have been skill scanning the environment. They've looked at Germany as a model, and Germany are way ahead of us. Coming out of the war, they were able to invest heavily into apprentices, into higher technical qualifications. And so this white paper is about that. It's a response to that. And I feel really excited because the government is also putting money where its mouth is. They're investing in colleges so that we can invest in you as businesses. So this September, for example, I will be 1.3, not personally, but the college will be 1.3 million better off than we were this year. And that's really, really brilliant. And that's on top of all the investment we're having through this project called Skills Lab. So it's ambitious. It's aimed at 16 to 18-year-olds, and it's also aimed at upskilling and reskilling adults. So it touches everybody. So there's 4 main areas for this. One is about putting you as employers absolutely at the heart of the skills system. And the government announced this last week that they are introducing a new department at the Department for Education called the Post-16 Skills Department. We're not quite sure on the detail, but that then puts us very central and probably, if I'm being really honest with you, equal to or ahead of where schools and universities are. And that's never happened before. And the government have realised that skills is where productivity comes from, and productivity changes the world we live in. And if we can boost our economy with the right skills, it's win-win all round. So that's why they're investing, so I'm excited for that. It's around higher level technical qualifications. So you probably, all the people online and in the room are probably very familiar with A-levels and a 3-year degree. Go off to university, you disappear for 3 years, and then after all the partying, you come back hopefully with a qualification and all sorts of other skills as well. This is a challenge to that. It's saying we want technical education at level 3 in colleges called T-levels. That is such an exciting programme. It has 315 hours over 2 years to come and be a work placement worker for you. Now, we can either bolster that all into year 2, so you get a really useful person rather than a 1-day-a-week work placement as it was in the past. And then the growth, the throughput for that will be into level 4 and level 5 technical education that's aimed at colleges, not university. And that is about higher technical qualifications or HLAs, which you'll be familiar with, higher level apprentices. So again, that is about the workers being in the workplace, doing the work and gaining a qualification rather than keep disappearing here, there and everywhere. So that's exciting. And then we've got, as you know, and employers tell me it drives them absolutely mad, a myriad of qualifications. And Conrad touched on that this morning. There's a huge list of qualifications, funding streams, the way we do things. And all that is simplified through the white paper. And all the projects come together and all the funding comes together and all the qualifications come together. And it is probably the most exciting time in my career I've ever had, to be honest. And I feel very excited about the white paper. And the government, as I've said, are investing the money. They're putting the money where their mouth is. So that's good as well, because money always speaks volumes. And the other thing you may have seen is that on the TV, there's running a national campaign that is about trying to get good teachers back into teaching and let's upskill them. So there's a 2-way thing. Teachers will come out to your businesses if you will welcome us, and we welcome you, and we can pay you, not oodles of money before you all get excited, but there's a facility to pay you to come in and maybe work with us on the state-of-the-art technology and new equipment and so on and so forth. So really exciting. So what's the Skills Lab and what's the branding about? It's about innovation. So that innovation that you had to use during COVID, how did we all manage that? I got 1 week, sort it out, Debbie, and the staff here were remarkable, as I'm sure they would have been in your businesses. It's about collaboration. The 7 colleges are committed to not duplicating provision. We're wholeheartedly trusting each other, supporting each other. We're feeling really good. And when employers say, well, why do 10 colleges offer this and no college offers that? This Skills Lab will resolve all of that for you. So that feels really good to me. We're also going to support our community. The Skills Lab is about talent development, and it's also very focused, but Beverly will talk more about this later. It's very focused on 3 things: marine, net zero and digital at the moment. It's a pilot for those 3 things. It can grow, but what that allows is an absolute focus on a specialism, so we get everything right. We're not scattergunning everywhere and trying to be all things to all people. And as you know, all the skills across all those industries are transferable, so that feels good as well. So what will the pilots do? It'll make sure we have a high value curriculum for you, that we're listening to you. It allows us to upskill. So what we are doing is upskilling all our staff. We've got capital builds. There's a brand new building going in upstairs, a brand new building going on at Fareham, and we're developing the staff. So it's the first time again in my career where you get the capital, you get the equipment and you get the staff upskilled. It's all joined up. It's amazing. It's really brilliant. And what can we offer you as a collective that I, as the Isle of Wight College, can't offer you on my own? So as a collective, you've 7 colleges in the Solent region, amazing, all bowing and wanting to serve you, seriously. We've 20,000 16 to 18-year-old students you can tap into. We've got 1/3 of those enter your workforce. Some do go off to university. We've over 5,000 apprentices there for you for the taking. We've got the value added of our adult training, which will add to the economy. And then we've all the leverage of all the capital work and all the investment and all the monies that we can share with you and amongst ourselves, so that we're dealing with up-to-date technical equipment that will meet your skills needs, not some old equipment from 1802 that used to be useful at that point. So what have we got? We've got 4 strands. We've got project 1 is about 2 business centres, one here and one at Hampshire with Fareham, and the chamber will be moving into Fareham, and we're working with our chamber, who will be based on the island still, but good key partner for us. We've had 2.2 million investment in equipment, which is really good. We've been doing some knowledge transfer sharing already, so we've had some employers come in, we've had some staff go out, and the staff are really excited by that across the 7 colleges. So we're starting to collectively, we're dealing with a project 4, which is about how our HR departments upskill themselves to make sure that we can recruit, retain and get good people in. So one example is, can we share a post, maybe worth, say, circa 100,000? None of us could afford that in our own right. That we can then share the post, because they'll absolutely have the expert skills required, and that feels really scary, but it feels really exciting too, because they're the types of posts we can't afford and we do need. So what have we achieved so far? 282 staff have been out on secondment out of a target of 360. So we're making good progress. We're really, really happy with that. And this project only started a few months ago, and in theory is supposed to end at the end of March and then be all embedded, but we've asked for an extension or Beverley House, so that's good. We've got 76 teaching staff who's been doing the knowledge transfer. That's really uplifting skill. The staff are coming back excited, asking for new technologies. And for once, we have the money to buy. All the colleges have the money to buy, so that's exciting. We've bought things like, so where's the investment in equipment? We bought ground source heat pumps, electrical and hybrid vehicles and technologies, and they're really expensive. So a hybrid car's worth about £40,000. Never in my lifetime could we spend that on one car. And so we're investing in the technology, and that feels really, really good. It meets the net zero agenda, big tick in the box. And so we're heading not only to our own net zero target, we're heading to the government's targets that's been set nationally. We've got simulation technologies, robotics and mechatronic, and we're heavily investing in digital. I was talking to David, who is an expert in that field, who's the next guest speaker earlier, and saying we must not lose sight of that whole coronavirus thing. And we all went digital, and it's very easy to say, that was then, this is now, and we won't bother. We mustn't lose sight of that. And actually, Astrid made a very good point earlier. The fact that many people are online and not in the room is saving our footprint. But I do miss the people, and the people online are missing out on the cake. So we just have to remind you of that. What's today about? The last strand, it's a long-term ambition. We want to encourage SMEs back to business. So a small to medium enterprise really struggle to release their employees. So this Skills Lab project will enable that to be much, much easier. We're excited for that. We want to respond to the demand for skills differently. So in the past, employers have said, well, you know, Debbie, quite often you say, well, we can offer you this, this and this, and we actually want this over here. So the Skills Lab allows us to say, well, tell us what you want and we'll do that. Might sound quite amazing to some of the employers out there, but it is that amazing, and we're that excited for that. And the other thing we can do is, you will know, in this region, we have a lot of high deprivation. Now, people keep moaning about the Northern Powerhouse and the North getting all the money, and as a good Northern lass, you know, I've got a foot in both camps, but I know the level of deprivation in Isle of Wight, Gosport and Havant is as great as it is in the north of England. And so we are entitled and we have a right to what's called levelling up. Now, levelling up is another government agenda which is about creating a level playing field. So no matter what your background, what your parents did, whether they were the Mayor of London, the local lorry driver, the gardener, everybody should stand a chance of success around these skills. And so I'm really excited that this agenda, the white paper and everything that goes together will accommodate all of that. And Astrid's here today to talk specifically about one of our Skills Labs curriculum, which is net zero. So can we welcome her and welcome.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you very much indeed, Debbie. Right. There we go. You have no idea how pleased I am that that worked. It didn't when I did this at Farron. Hello, everybody. Hello to lovely people joining us online too. A little bit about me. For those of you who were here for Conrad's talk, don't panic. I'm not going to start with my O-levels because we could be here till Christendom. I have been a passionate advocate for the sustainable agenda for 40 years. Years and years ago, I used to have doors slammed in my face as a Greenpeace borough coordinator. I go back a long way. But then there are some people in the room, I don't know if there's anybody online who may remember me from a time that I worked here as I had the privilege of serving the people of the Isle of Wight for over a decade. And one of the examples of how I did that was the Eco Island Sustainable Community Strategy. I come at this project from a position of passion, but I also come at it from a position of passion, not just because it's all the doomsday scenario, and you'll get a feeling of why I don't think that in a minute, but I come at this from a point of view of passion about the opportunities that this offers us. If you look at the list of people that I work with, you'll be able to see that there's a lot there of people who are interested in helping other people, people who are interested in sustainability, people who are pursuing non-polluting businesses. And that's because I don't work with businesses that do. You'll also see on the screen a picture of me in the same suit. Actually, you know, it's the one that fits me. But also, this is the suit that I actually bought for the Eco Island conference in 2008. So, you know, I'm there with the circular economy and the lovely Dame Ellen's protests against fast fashion. You know, I'm making it real. But what you'll see on the screen is a picture of me in front of some stuff at the Hampshire Climate Change Leaders Summit, or the Hampshire Business Leaders Climate Change Summit. They're not having one this year, so that's quite handy. So I will be chairing the key speakers theatre at the Big Sustainable Expo again at Southampton. Not only that, I'm a guest speaker for MSc in Sustainable Leadership at the University of Southampton, and I support the Enactus chapter, which is a sustainability and social enterprise voluntary society, if you like, running out of University of Southampton. So quite strong links then to the University of Southampton. We've also got strong links to University of Southampton Solent University on the team. Now, on your screen, you'll also see a blue image. Does anyone know what that is? Looks like you've got little yellow things whirling around in the sea.
Is it tidal energy?
Oh, well done, Councillor. It is indeed. That is one of the mock-up. It doesn't actually look like that anymore, but that is one of the mock-ups that was used to get permission for the Perpetuous tidal energy research that is off St Catherine's Point on the island. That came as a direct result of Eco Island. When I talk about this and I talk about passion, I'm talking about this having a material impact on people's lives because it brings jobs to the island and to the region more generally. When I was chairing the Sustainability Summit, not going to go through that long list again, we had some fantastic speakers, not least the current president of Hampshire Chamber of Commerce, Peter Taylor, who's a senior partner of regional law firm Paris Smith. But our keynote speaker was a lovely gent called Professor William Collins. Now, Bill Collins is, he's a climate scientist, but he is also the author of Chapter 7 of the past and present IPCC reports on climate change. In other words, he writes about climate change on behalf of the United Nations. And we were hugely lucky to get him. And what he announced to himself that he, to everybody, that what I called his work was scary graphs, which made me sound a complete buffoon, but he's right, because I think they are blooming scary. What you have is one of Bill Collins' scary graphs in front of you. What that shows you is 2,000 years where we've been ticking along quite nicely. Then you get the Industrial Revolution, it all goes a bit Pete Tong. Because what happens is that you have observed changes in global warming that go back only to the early 1800s. So since about 1850, in that time, the developed, as in industrial world, has actually evidenced that it has an impact on the temperature of the surface of the Earth that puts it at unprecedented levels for over 2,000 years. Now that is scary. Not only is it scary, it has almost gone to the point of no return. We are kind of 11 o'clock on the kind of, or sort of 2,300 hours on the emergency clock. Greta Thunberg, she's had quite a few mentions today. She talks about our house being on fire. It very nearly is. And one of the reasons that this is so important to us all is weather, flooding, but it's also business resilience. And that's the bit that I want to come on to. The government has a strategy. This is, I personally think, quite a scary graph as well. This is the government's strategy for zero carbon or carbon neutrality, depending on your view. There's lots of different language around it. I'm not going to get into the semantics of what it all means. There are definitions that I'm happy to supply that are about what net zero means. It is not just about carbon, although decarbonisation is a massive part of it. And what you can see, let's see if the 2030, there's a little arrow there, and that shows you where UK should be. And the red chunk is domestic transport. So they're still expecting us to be driving around in lorries and cars that are petrol and all sorts. There's huge amounts there that are still in the pink zone is international aviation and shipping, and the orange is heat and buildings. And then you have industry, kind of a nebulous definition there. And then you have waste and gases, then you have agriculture, they're the two green ones. Then you have fuel supply, which, you know, with all the tragic stuff happening in Eastern Europe, is really going to come and bite all of us in the bottom fairly soon. The cost of living that was already bad is going to be exacerbated by that. It will affect all of us. And then you have generation of power, and then you have greenhouse gas removal. Again, another business opportunity. What you have here is 2050. What the government is assuming in this country is that we will be whacking huge amounts of greenhouse gases out of the atmosphere, and we're still going to be having aviation and shipping pretty much as it is now, and everything else will be sorted out. Now, I think those are a scarier set of graphs as anything else. not because I disagree necessarily with what the administration is trying to do. The book that all of this is taken from the pamphlet is Net Zero Building Back Greener. You can find that online, it's easily available. The point is that that's by 2050 and it relies on offsetting. So it relies on planting lots of trees and, to be blunt, paying another country to put up with our carbon emissions and do something there. So we're not in control of it. And what I think we have is a fantastic opportunity to seize that and turn it to our advantage as businesses. See. So you'll see the government's focus here: decarbonising, electrifying heating and transport, increasing the forest cover, and then carbon capture and storage. I defy you to go to any of your local colleges, even the esteemed one in which we're here, and find ages of courses for anybody of any age in your business that can do any of those right now, other than possibly a bit of electrified heating. The courses are not coordinated to date. The outputs are not coordinated to date, which is why it's so fantastic that this project is starting to pull all of that together for the first time in a very real, manifest and practical way. So it isn't actually that we're all doomed. That's a joke for the over 40s. But it's also something where we can help that graph and flip the script. We have it in our gift to do that. And this is one of the images that gives me great hope. The Energy Transitions Commission is based in London. It's an international commission and it's chaired by Lord Adair Turner. Now, he's not, from his business background, is not known as some fluffy green. This is hard business facts. And if you look closely at this infographic, I don't know where to stand, so I'm not in people's way, but you look at flexible zero carbon mobility. You look at zero emission circular goods. Again, circular economy. For those of you who are not aware of the circular economy, I commend to you publications that have been put out by Dame Ellen MacArthur's foundation, because they make all of these concepts, particularly around the circular economy and particularly fast fashion, which is an interesting one, they make all of that incredibly accessible. They're doing some fantastic work. Again, based where? Here on the island. You've also got clean energy. You're looking at sustainable ecosystems. Now, what that means is that you're looking at agriculture that is slightly more niche, slightly cleaner, slightly fewer things creeping into the food chain, which is surely in our interest. Surely this is good, something that we all want. We're looking for high quality, energy efficient buildings. Passive buildings are starting to become the norm for housing associations. Why? Because they're cheaper to run. They may not be cheaper to build, but they are cheaper to run and they get fewer complaints. They are much easier. But it takes investment. And that's the key point. Recently, Ernst & Young, that's old money, sorry, they're known as EY now. Ernst & Young they interviewed all of the investment managers that they had contact with. Now, they're a global firm, so there's a lot of investment managers. 70% of those investment managers were seeking to invest in what they called impact investment in either individuals, how they work, or the products themselves. In other words, they wanted to create investment products in that way. 70%. And these, just to be clear, these are not little people sitting at a desk, pushing a few sort of mortgages around. These are global investment managers. These are the corporate investors from whom venture capitalists borrow money. And where the VC money filters down through either retail banking or independent loans comes to SMEs. At present, environmental, social and governance reporting is only a requirement for companies quoted on the stock exchange or large partnerships. So SMEs have thought that they've kind of got off with that and it's all right. It is coming at all SMEs like a truck, that right governance. And it's coming at us all because if we want to be part of a supply chain for anyone who is involved with any of those quoted companies, we must be able to demonstrate what we can do. Wouldn't it be brilliant if the future workforce went into all our businesses with those skills so it wasn't so stressful? And that's really what we should be talking about. So we're talking about the EVs, we're talking about biomass boilers, we're talking about ground source heat pumps, we're talking about photovoltaics, we're talking about the nuts and bolts. But we're also talking about the accountants. We're talking about the auditors. We're talking about the marketing people and understanding the messages so that the marketing is not something that is a glib message, but actually something that deals with the heart of the issue and can understand it so it's sold properly. It is about enriching our ability to serve so that we can, frankly, make money. But in some cases, that might even be business survival. So what we're also talking about is getting these skills on to all levels, and Beverly will talk after me about how we'll be looking at this for more senior people using the business centres too. So this is not just, you know, young out of school apprentices. This is all ages we should be able to support. And how Skills Labs can help? Well, you're not going to have the lucky roll of the dice of where you live and where your business is, as opposed to where you can get training. I'm not doing that anymore. Because it's going to be coordinated, the net zero provision for training across those different criteria will be available on site here, on site in the other colleges, on site in business centres here and in Fareham, but also on site in your businesses. But we need you to work with us, fill in that survey, get people, other people in your sector to fill in that survey so that we know what it is that we're providing. It's important that we have those skills, not just because we all want to have a, you know, electric car or we need to be able to do that. It's fleet management, it's fuel efficiency. So there's all sorts of the management of business, not just the can they fix a Tesla bit. It's also, as I say, about all levels, all ages. You remember I said about the investment? McKinsey, you can tell I have a fondness for consultancy reports. McKinsey wrote that there's going to be $9 trillion required per year to get us to the 2030 or 2050 targets. Wouldn't it be nice if we could get a piece of that? Not all of it, and not personally, just like your 1.3 million, but wouldn't it be good if we can actually get that into the region? Just imagine what that could do for jobs. Just imagine what that could do for net zero. So we keep the beautiful dark skies that there are above this island. We keep the clean air, but we can also improve the lot for other people too. What I would ask is that when you're thinking about net zero, you don't think of it as, oh, they're the people. It's not automatically just Vestas, you know? Are they even called still called Vestas? Are they still? Just checking. It is all the businesses that currently are active and who have a mindset of innovation. Do you remember Debbie's slide, which was talking about innovation and collaboration and evolution? This is what that is all about. For net zero, you need that. You will always require that. But you have a fantastic, once in a generation opportunity to shape the curriculum for your business, to future-proof your business, and to future-proof your business, not just for you, but for all of us, because that's what net zero will help us all achieve. So I hope that that has been helpful to you. Ooh, there we go. Thank you very much indeed. I'll hand over to Beverly.
Thank you, Astrid. I love it. It's so exciting and interesting, isn't it? Thank you very much, Astrid. Okay, so it's me now, isn't it? And it's saying Skills Labs Isle of Wight. Just get my head around that. So Debbie was talking to you about the project, what that's actually been looking like, the 4 different strands of it, and how that's actually come to fruition. So the Skills Accelerator Programme, which is the Skills Accelerator Fund, was born out of this white paper that we've spoken to you about, January 21, called Skills for Jobs, Lifelong Learning. So this is for all ages of people. It's not just for the young people, but we've got a fantastic opportunity for business to start informing the future of skills training and education into business. So what could that look like? So yesterday I was talking to a company who said they can't fulfill their order books for 5 years' time. So what we were looking at is playing that back and seeing how we could actually put programs in place to support their needs over that period of time, which could be through recruitment programs, could be through the development of traineeships, apprenticeships, level 2, 3, and going up 4, 5, and 6, and how we can actually support that longer term. So I mentioned this morning actually that at the moment that there's quite a lot of funding available. That isn't my job. That's actually the job of the college to understand that. What my role is as Director of Business Centres is to make sure that companies have got a business shape that they're able to use to help them to develop their business. By helping them to develop their business, then everybody's going to benefit from the skills development, skills accelerator program that we're running. So as we said, the 3 areas that we're focusing on at the moment are marine technology, which could be underwater robotics, AI, VR, how we do things differently underwater, net zero, which Astrid just talked about, which is upskilling the workforce to look at things like retrofitting electrical sockets into the side of your house. We obviously can't have gas boilers after 2025, so we've got to look at alternative sources there. And what we want to do is to train people to actually deliver that development in business. So that's the sort of the key to that. And of course, there's a lot of crossover with all of this, as in digital futures, which David's going to talk to us about this afternoon. So digital futures is this link between where we are now, where we need to get to, where we can digitise systems. A project that we've been working on at Fareham is with the Hampshire Constabulary, looking at an app which our students have been developing to help them with their room bookings. And of course, you can digitise anything. And if we take the same scenario, it costs £35,000 to kit out a new policeman. And in doing that, it's all actually inputted manually at the moment. Can you imagine? So somebody comes along and puts in the wrong chest size when the £35,000 worth of kit comes along and it's wrong. It's quite a lot of money to keep setting aside. So by digitising those programmes, using the skills of the students that we're actually developing coming through the digital programmes, we can actually help business to be a little bit more cost effective in their approach. So there's a whole bunch of stuff we can look at. to help businesses develop as part of the Skills Accelerator programme. So when I came on board, I'm not allowed to do that anymore, am I? When I came on board, which was in November, I sort of thought, how am I going to put this thing together? My background is in business and education, so I came with both sets of skills to be able to pull that together. Similarly to Janet in the room here, who has a city background, I also used to work in the city in London, and also as a director of a subsidiary to P&O, set up a technology company, helped to reorganise one of the Black Horse companies, then spent 10 years in education and came back into business, which is always my passion, to help people to develop their businesses. So I've developed and sold 3 of the 5 businesses that I've set up, and I still have my own training academy online at the moment, which has grown from nothing to 300 courses in the matter of just over 2.5 years, with over 3,000 enrolments. So the point about that is, if I'd have known all the information that I developed when I studied early childhood studies, which is a bit like developmental psychology, into my business background, how much of a difference that would have actually made to people and their careers, moving them forward. So it's a great opportunity that we've got to be able to look at careers, progression, succession planning, the whole thing really, and how we can overlap all of these skills. So when I first came here, phase 1 was to sort of get set and go. So brands, making a noise, setting up a website, developing the ideas, and to build awareness. Phase 2 was the original events that we set up. We've had 3 of those on the mainland in all of our 3 areas. And so far to date, we've developed a clean database of over 550 companies, 190 one-to-ones that we've organised. And following this, what we will do for phase 3 is to pull together a survey of information from the people that have joined us online and also in the room about how you see the future of net zero in your particular industry and how we can help to develop that into skills training. So phase 4 of this is the survey. Sorry, phase 3 is the survey, and phase 4 is the actual physical business centres, which you can see over here. So the bottom one is just next door, which is the Isle of Wight Business Centre, and the one at the top here is the Fareham College Centre that we've got, which is actually racing ahead now and doing really well. So we've got the Hampshire Chamber of Commerce as our principal tenant, as identified in the white paper, and College here will still be working very closely with your Chamber of Commerce on the island also. So phase 4 is to build the website, look at the facilities and what we're actually going to do. And what my job is to pull that together. So we're going to have our 7 key FE, further education colleges, on our website. And we're going to have their best bits and their talking heads and what they're going to be doing for their particular environment. What I'm also going to put on this website is an opportunities page. So if a company are having problems finding a member of staff, we'll be able to put that onto our opportunities page. This is totally neutral across all of the colleges that I'm working with. And my role very much is to help businesses to develop themselves over the coming years. So I'm just going to show you where the colleges are without tripping over that. So we've got the Isle of Wight, which is where we are today. We've got Brockenhurst College, City College in Southampton, Eastleigh College, Fareham College, which is where I'm based. We've got Havant and South Downs, and we've also got Portsmouth City. So those are the 7 colleges, and once a month I will be in all of those locations to run business clinics to enable companies to come in and talk about what their needs might be. So that might be myself, it might be somebody that works with apprenticeships that's got the understanding of funding. It could be having somebody there like Debbie might want to come in, or Janet, that understands how businesses work on the island. So there's going to be loads of opportunity for me to go out and talk to businesses across these particular areas. So where do we go from today then with the Skills Development, Skills Accelerator programme? Is that you can actually book a one-to-one appointment for us to come and talk to you with our specialist consultant. We'd like you to complete a survey for us, which is just about your business and the future of net zero and skills training that you might require. And also the industry boards that I'm going to be running once a month across Hampshire and the Isle of Wight, which will enable specialists from these environments to come together and to discuss the future of those particular businesses. Sharing of knowledge, which is obviously how we grow, collaborating, and we'll also have a bit of dinner at one of the restaurants wherever we're based at that particular time, which of course gives our students the opportunity also to showcase their skills, which is what we want. So the programme isn't just about young people, it's about people at all ages being able to upskill and redevelop themselves, businesses to grow, supporting the economy, the really hard time we've all had over the last 2 or 3 years, and we can help with this. And I've been banging on about it for 10 years, about how the Department for Education could really do very well to ask business what they need so that we can help them to develop that. So in the cloud of called education, we've got all these bits of information, which are called units, and we draw them all together and make a course, and we can then deliver that to companies moving forward. So very exciting time for the net zero market. And that's all I'd like to say for today. So thank you very much. Thank you. We're open to questions, obviously, in this particular session about net zero and the future of skills. If there's anybody online that would like to ask a question, please just speak up. And also people that are in the room who might be also interested in asking a question about net zero. So when we're actually talking, when we go out with Astrid or whatever we're doing, we're actually looking at the skills that are required for that particular company. So this is not about anything else. This is just about that particular environment and what they would actually need to develop. So everybody good? Good to go? So, yeah.
One thing I just want to reiterate, at the risk of being very boring, this is not just about what you do now, it's about what you could do. So this is, excuse me, talking through my back. Let's have a go at standing up at the front. That would probably be a good plan. Apologies. This is about what you could do. This is about opportunity.
Yeah.
Net zero is, it's going to be like a combination of the 1840s gold rush and the 1980s Silicon Valley rush. It's going to be enormous. And it's not only going to be enormous because we can, it's going to be enormous because we must, and increasingly legislation is going to drive it. Be in there at the start. What else could you do? What could you be doing differently? If what you're doing currently is frankly not going to cut it because it's probably going to be banned soon, then that horrid word that people use throughout the start of COVID, pivoting. Just look at your business model, look at your transferable skills, look at the marketplace and see where what you've got could alter course so it meets it. And that's the work that it's my job to go in and talk to you all about, to hear your ideas and hear the training gap, because it's our job then to pull down all these different units and confect things that actually meet your business need for the first time. So.
Yeah, thanks, Astrid. And I think it's, sorry.
Just as a question. So if I'm a business, Astrid, and I want to invite you in, but I'm a bit terrified because I think I'm nowhere near all the good things you talked about. How would you help me? Where's the starting point for me as a business?
The starting point is that it's free to talk to me.
That's helpful.
Which is always a plus. And a cheap date. But also, there is no judgment. I'm not an engineer. I'm a librarian. Honestly, my chartership is librarianship, all right? I'm not going to judge. That's not what this is about. This is about what is it you want? and what will it take for me to enable you to get there? So part of that will be skills. The purpose of the programme recruiting those of us that are well connected and knowledgeable in our fields is that we're well connected. You know, there was a gent who was at Marine this morning who I am setting up with people to do precisely the kind of carbon footprinting piece that will enable him to have evidence so he can come back to us and talk to us about skills. It's about joining up so that the emphasis isn't always on the SME and the SMEs that are so busy in their business, they don't have the opportunity to be on their business. You know, we have a lot of people online today because they couldn't, they felt, take the time to physically attend. The issue is we can help more people through the digital piece, but also just coming and seeing them and saying, okay, what's hurting? What do you need? Hearing it, taking it away and making those courses available.
I think the thing is also is a startup's requirement, just talking to Janet about this yesterday, is very different in scaling up and requiring different L&D programmes, looking at how they're going to start recruiting their staff, programmes of development. And then for the larger corporates, you are talking about maybe a troubleshooting in their L&D programmes to enable them to make a better process, like Doug said yesterday that we were talking to. The SME market, because you've got this column, haven't you, of startups, and then the SMEs, and then the corporates, and they're all of their needs are very different. Astrid and I have both been into companies where we've been talking about UN Sustainability Development Goals and how people implement those. And that's like the real basic start of what they can actually do in their businesses to make a difference. So how can I bring in a different programme of equality, diversity? How can I bring in, you know, the whole levelling up agenda as part of that as well? So it's a massive subject from start to finish, but that's usually quite a good place to start as well as what do they need?
What they need and also what they need to be able to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's understanding not just what they need, but what the pressures are on them.
Yeah, sorry.
I think if I could just say from a college point of view, we're heavily targeted by the government. So I know when all our old buildings go, our footprint, all of a sudden we get some big ticks in the box on net zero. We have to measure ourselves and monitor ourselves monthly on the amount of electricity, the amount of gas. I'm told what to do. So don't, you know, there's no expert in me on net zero. But I can see here, we have a recycling scheme. We have to do certain things. But when you talk to the SMEs, they're not going to get a brand new building. Are they measured the same way on gas and electric? So yeah, for me, the island is swimming in SMEs who perhaps need their hand holding a little bit more as to say, well, where do I start and what are my targets and then how do I ensure the legislation doesn't catch me out 5 years down the line?
Well, we're can I just answer that? We're actually working building services engineers at the moment. And we've got like a footprint idea. There's people that Astrid and I have been working with who can also measure carbon footprint in business. And the B Corp model, you don't have to have accreditation. You can use the framework. You know, there's all these bits and pieces of information that, you know, that we can all pull together to help businesses to identify, you know, where their processes and programs might need to change. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to say that the point is that we start from a very basic, simple premise. That we start with a very simple, basic premise that it's fantastic that they're reaching out to us.
To say it, yeah.
And that's the first big plus. I would say that as a coach, because for me, when people make the first decision to take the first step to address the current situation and seek to improve it, they are already winning. And so it's not about assuming that people know stuff. It's assuming that they don't. It's assuming that they're not experts. It's assuming that they're happy to work with us. And it's assuming that they understand how important it really, truly is for them to start now, because frankly, 5 years' time is too late.
Yeah,
thank you.
And if you think about the fact that we've got 30,000 short of electrical car mechanics, you know, we need to do something about that. And that's what we're also trying to address as a college, or as colleges across the programme, is to help companies to upskill the staff that they have in order that they can deliver on the order book for, let's say, the AA that need to know how to fix your electric car at the side of the road. But we don't need to spend our money on buying whole cars. We only need to spend money on buying the bit of the car, you know, that the students can practice on. Or with the AA, let's say, upskilling the staff that they already have as adult learners. And as I mentioned earlier, I know it's just about to change, but there is adult funding available as well at the moment, so that if people have never studied at a level 3, they can actually look at that also as a funded project. So I think that's a good bit of net zero for today, Astrid. Thank you very much. So just to say thank you to the people that are online with us today, and we'll send out the survey to you, as we will people that either are on our database from today, or who were not able to attend for whatever purpose, and also people that have joined us in the room today. So thank you very much, and thank you everybody in the room also. Thank you.
Thank you very much.